adesso alle conclusioni. Voglio fare un speciale ringraziamento all'associazione Conoscere Eurasia, al professore Antonio Fallico e a tutta la sua squadra. Agli sponsor, alle agenzie, agli speakers e a tutti gli invitati. Voglio fare anche uno speciale ringraziamento alla Turchia, al governo turco, ai suoi rappresentanti che ci hanno accolto e che questa volta hanno spalancato le porte alla 18ª edizione del forum. Quindi grazie anche alla Turchia, grazie a Istanbul. Poi vorrei anche ringraziare a quelle persone che magari non si vedono, ma che senza di loro
But without them, all of this wouldn't have even been possible. The technical staff, all the people who made coffee and tea for us, they prepared our lunch, and also I would like to thank the interpreters who yesterday and today have overcome language barriers. They're not really barriers, languages make us richer. So thank you for your work. Thank you for helping us even now, like translating what I'm saying as well.
Professore, lei è stato
Dear Professor, you were a visionary man, a far-sighted leader. I always say that leaders are those who have a clear vision and are able to bring people exactly where they see and envision. Maybe others are not able to see the same things. They don't have the same vision. Also, I would like to ask you all a big round of applause because this forum today has come of age. It's 18 years old, a grown-up man. Since day one, it's created a system based on trust. It's created a solid foundation so that the relations between Italy and the larger Eurasian continent can progress over time. And that's why we are here gathered today. So thank you once again, Professor. This forum focused on new energies for new realities, the art of innovation. This was the title. We all know that without innovation, humankind couldn't progress. Let's start from the need to innovate and progress. This is what I would like to discuss with these two very important and distinguished guests, Professor Fallico and the president, the chairman of the board of Russian and Turkish entrepreneurs, RTIB. They are going to draw some conclusions together. So I will start from some of the key words of this forum: collaboration, cooperation. Mr. Erdem Acay, a manager who has always built bridges of economic progress and development for Turkey and Russia, well, he is a great example of this fruitful cooperation, of this productive cooperation. Mr. Erdem Acay is a manager with a long-standing career and experience. You've always built connections and bridges, transforming difficulties into tangible progress and development. So here's my question for you. This is a question for Mr. Erdem Acay. At a time of global challenges, in your opinion and based on your experience, what are the strategic values that you believe are essential to contribute to the economic development Again, starting from your experience, gathered in projects developed with Russia and Turkey, and how do you think that Europe can participate in these good practices? Thank you.
Well, first of all, thank you for the summary. I really felt proud of myself. So if you look at from our perspective, I would like to extend my thanks to the Verona Forum. If you will ask me why, because for the last 28 years, we have been trying to increase the business volume between Turkey and Russia. And we are also trying to increase the trade volume. But as we keep trying to do this, there is always this third part, the European side, which was always missing. So this forum, in a way, complements us from that perspective. And starting with Professor Fallico, I would like to thank every one of the organizers who have made this possible, and so that we are together and we have been enjoying the last 2 days. So the trade volume, since 2022, we have been able to generate a serious level of trade volume, but then after 2022, we have somehow observed that this positive trend has turned into a kind of shrinkage in the markets. Although Turkey has not been a part of the ongoing conflicts, there have been a number of dynamics which have influenced export, especially negatively, and our position here impels us to support people with the right information, food, textiles, and tourism. These industries and others are not industries which are subject to sanctions of any sort. So companies should be aware of this, and this tripartite structure: Italy, European Union, Turkey, and Russia. These are the parts I mean. And Russia is the grain store of the whole world, 1/3 of the world. The resources are in Russia. We have valuable minerals and mines. When you think of energy resources, we need to remember Russia as enjoying the biggest reserves and resources. And just a step further, we have the Far Eastern reality. And China emerges in the Far East, among the Far Eastern clouds. So thinking about a geography like this, we have discussed this a number of times. And we cannot build routes and decide on destinations without taking these global dynamics into consideration. And for me, the best thing is to bring all these stakeholders together and to act together. We cannot do things with regional perspective only. We cannot act locally only. We need to include more than one partner in our industries, so that the continuation of this economic growth can be sustained. From a Turkish and Russian perspective, we have been encouraging everyone around us, you need to do something with Turkish people in Turkey and with Russian people in Russia. People really would like to believe in the supply chain mechanisms. Trust is an important issue because we're talking about a great level of insecurity all around us, and it has been something even more important than it was in the past to do things with people together in solidarity. So strategic planning and collaboration will be important keywords for us in the future.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to Mr. Acay. Starting from this last point, you were talking about cooperation, but you also talked about how difficult it is to forecast the supply chains. Yesterday, I was listening to the speakers here on stage, and I looked deeper into what presented by Novatek and Rosatom on the need, the fundamental need to keep on developing and researching plans in the field of green energy and neutral energy, also including the use of nuclear power. I found this very interesting, and in particular, both mentioned and highlighted the need to cooperate with other countries. They presented, for instance, the importance of cooperation also with the United States when it comes to new technologies in order to develop these large projects. Even a medium-scale project in the field of energy takes between 3 and 5 years. In the field of new sources of energy, including renewables, at the moment there is a growing need. Last year it had grown from 3 to 5%. The expectation is that by 2050 the need for alternative sources of energy will double. So, based on your experience in many sectors of the economy, do you have any example to present related to the development of new energy innovation that really showcases the good cooperation between Turkey and Russia?
Of course, when you look at the process, we see a strong collaboration. In Mersin, for example, the nuclear facility is a great example of the Turkish and Russian partnership. This will just offer 10% of the energy need in Turkey. So, of course, we need to talk about green energy, sustainable energies. The fossil fuels are being depleted, so considering that fact as well, it's impossible for us to move on with these traditional sources of energy. It could be solar energy, wind energy, or hydraulic one, nuclear energy. These are all alternatives to the traditional energy. If you look at the automotive industry, for example, we have been witnessing the rise of electrified cars, and many metropolitan cities have had problems due to air pollution with the consumption of traditional fuel, but electrical cars have prevented it. And there are other ancillary issues attached to the electrical cars. Because you need to think about storing the electricity for recharging these vehicles. As known by many, the Turkish construction companies have been more active recently, and they are taking part in numerous projects. Acay is one of those joint projects between Turkey and Russia in the field of energy. But then Turkey will evolve into a hub for natural gas and oil as well. Think of the land transportation for transporting these fuels, but then this is harmful for the environment as well. So pipelines are important. I'm sure that peace will come very soon, and these pipelines will be activated so that road transport will be minimized. There will be new energy investments that will be rolled out in Turkey. The second step of the project I have just mentioned will be taking place in Sinop, And we have other projects in the pipeline as well. And we are just organizing events where we want to come together with stakeholders. And of course, the times are challenging, but then we will be working very hard into the future as well.
Thank you very much. Very clear, a very clear example of how cooperation yields tangible results if there's a will from both sides. Before we conclude and before starting the preparation for the next forum next year, I would like a message from you. You started as a young manager, you started very early. Do you have a message for young people who are beginning their career and maybe young students who are taking the first steps in their careers? They are not only the future, but they're only the present. Do you have a message for them also on cooperation, innovation, and the importance to have a dialogue also in the field of economy to the benefit of every human being?
Cari amici,
Dear friends, this is not a rhetorical speech. I would like to thank once again all those who have been so important for us in the organization of this forum. First of all, I would like to thank the administration of the President of Turkey, the government of Turkey, the Parliament of Turkey, the entrepreneurial organizations, and Mr. Acay here represents the heart of the cooperation between companies, which in turn are the heart of the cooperation between Turkey and Russia. I would like to thank all those who, as our chair said, people we haven't seen during these days. So I would like to thank all those men and women, boys and girls who've worked really hard for many months to make all of this possible. It's thanks to them that we are here today. We can speak and we can enjoy this forum all together. Of course, I would like to thank our chairpersons, all our speakers, and all those who've contributed, even in a very small way, to the organization of this modest initiative, but which stands contrary to the current international trend. We don't want to be separate. We want instead to go beyond cultural, political, economic, ideological barriers. We want to go beyond them. During these 2 days of work of the 18th Eurasian Economic Forum, I've heard, as you have, heard a pressing request for dialogue. In the current geopolitical situation, which is very troublesome and is affecting the whole world, this is what the entrepreneurial community of Eurasia wants. We don't like uncertainty and unpredictability. Our entrepreneurial community would need a stable framework, a stable and clear context to do its work, which should be aimed at producing wealth and prosperity for the entire social community, not just for its shareholders. The panel on energy and finance, but also on transport and industry. This is a message that was mentioned very clearly, and this was the wish expressed by all the distinguished speakers who took the floor, even though they came from different backgrounds. This request for dialogue was also mentioned when we discussed all other issues. One thing is very clear: many problems that hinder economic development stem from the fact that opposing parties don't speak to each other. They ignore or insult each other, and instead the solution and success can only happen when the involved parties talk, they have sometimes even fierce confrontations, they stress their diversities and different interests, and yet together they look for solutions that can work for both. The importance of cooperation and dialogue among even conflicting parties was brilliantly illustrated by the speeches of all our Turkish guests, in particular the ministers who took the floor. We heard the effectiveness of this approach to economy for the whole society in Turkey. They don't deny their interests, and yet the best solution is searching for common solutions, compromise, solutions to problems that might seem unsurmountable but are not. I would also like to mention two distinguished guests this morning. They reiterated the appeal of the forum. Romano Prodi said, "The end of dialogue is the end of the world." Necmettin Bilal Erdogan said, "We are different, but we have common interests." And so we need to listen to each other. We need to feel and hear. It's not just about listening in a superficial way. We need to listen using our intellect and our empathy to understand others. We need to hear and listen to everyone. Just hearing would already be a step forward, because unfortunately too many ears are kept closed. But listening, and really listening, is what is needed. We need to listen to others to create a predictable context which would be beneficial not only to achieve peace in the world, but also to achieve economic progress. I think that the city of Istanbul, where we hosted the 18th Eurasian Forum, choosing Istanbul was a perfect choice. This palace is a wonderful palace. We can enjoy the view over the Bosphorus and the bridges connecting Europe and Asia. They really embody and show the greatness of the Eurasian space. I hope we've managed to bring forward and support this path towards dialogue. Well, let's not overestimate what we can do here. We have modest powers and abilities. This is a small event. It doesn't really revert inertia or provoke significant changes. Still, I hope we could contribute to the path towards sustainable solutions to current challenges. Let's keep on walking together towards a common goal. Even though we cannot move the tectonic plates of geopolitics, it is still very important that we take on our individual responsibility in terms of cultural and political and also economic role. Our work and our individual effort is much more important than what Deus Ex Machina can do. I've never seen them in my life. I only saw them in the Plato's dramas. So that's why I would like to see you all next year. Very stubbornly, together, we will try and give our contribution with our sensitivity, our responsibility, and our testimony. Where are we going to meet next year? Here's my proposal. Why not again in Istanbul? Thank you, and hopefully see you all soon. Thank you, Professor. Thank you. We close this forum, this 18th edition of the forum, feeling enriched, both as humans and as professionals. Again, thank you, Istanbul. Thank you for providing these beautiful views and landscapes. Thank you, Professor Fallico. You're not just stubborn, you are determined. I think that this is a much better word. Thank you very much.